I am 93 years old. I have lived long enough to watch my wife take her final breath, long enough to bury friends I once thought would grow old beside me, long enough to see men who hated me disappear quietly into the ground. And somewhere along the way, without even noticing when it happened, I also outlived the version of myself that cared deeply about being admired, approved of, or remembered. That version died years ago. What's left now is honesty. I am standing at the edge of my life, not metaphorically. I can feel it in my bones when I wake up. I can hear it in the silence that follows me through the day. From here the view is very clear, and before I step off this edge, I feel a responsibility to turn around and speak to those of you still behind me, still laughing, still busy, still convinced the night is young. Because you are living inside a very comfortable lie, you believe you have time. You wake up each morning assuming tomorrow is promised to you. You treat your days like loose change, spending them on meetings that don't matter, arguments that won't be remembered, and worries that will die with you. You talk about life as if it's something you'll start later, after one more promotion, after one more year, after things finally settle down. Let me tell you something from this side of the cliff. Time does not settle down. It runs, and it does not slow for anyone. You know you're going to die. You've always known that, but you don't feel it yet. If you did, you would not be living the way you are living now, and that is why I need you to listen to me, not as a warning, but as a message sent backward through time, from a place you will one day reach. When I was younger, I thought people who lived long lives must have done something special, something disciplined, something rare. I imagined strict routines, early mornings, perfect diets, maybe a secret food, maybe a forbidden habit they never touched. But the truth is, most of those people didn't live carefully. They lived honestly. I remember being 43, standing in my kitchen late at night, staring at a pile of unpaid bills. My job paid well, but not enough to buy peace. I was always tense, always rushing, always planning the next step before finishing the one I was on. That year, my doctor told me my blood pressure was high. He suggested medication. I asked him what else I could do. He said, "Slow down." I laughed. How do you slow down when the world keeps pushing? But something inside me cracked after that visit, not loudly, just enough to let a little light in. I stopped saying yes to everything, stopped chasing every opportunity like it was my last. I began walking home instead of driving, even when it took longer. I ate when I was hungry, not when the clock told me to. I slept when I was tired, not when my schedule allowed it. Most importantly, I stopped pretending I was fine. I talked more, listened longer, forgave sooner. Life didn't suddenly become easier, but it became lighter. People ask me now if stress kills you. I tell them no. What kills you is carrying stress silently for decades, thinking that's just what adulthood feels like. Longevity isn't about adding years to your life. It's about removing the things that drain life from your years. And once I understood that, everything else started to fall into place. For a long time, I believed money would eventually buy me freedom. Not luxury, just relief. I chased higher numbers, bigger paychecks. I told myself I was doing it for my family, for security, for the future, but the future kept moving farther away. I missed dinners because of meetings, missed birthdays because of deadlines. I promised I would make it up later. Later never keeps promises. One night, years ago, my wife asked me a simple question. Do you actually enjoy the life we're building? I didn't answer, because the truth was uncomfortable. I had money in the bank, but no time to sit still. I had people around me, but rarely with me. The biggest regret isn't spending too little time working. It's spending too little time being present. Relationships don't fall apart from one big mistake. They erode quietly from absence, distraction, silence. I've learned that love doesn't need grand gestures. It needs attention. Listening without checking the clock. Staying when it's inconvenient. Choosing people even when ambition whispers otherwise. As for money, I still respect it, but I no longer worship it. Money is a tool, not a scorecard. It's meant to serve your life, not replace it. When people ask me what I regret most, I don't say lost investments. I say conversations I postponed, apologies I delayed, moments I assumed would wait. They don't. If there's one lesson age teaches you without mercy, it's this. The people who matter won't remember how busy you were. They'll remember whether you showed up. And in the end, that's the only wealth that truly lasts. As the years pass, you begin to see life less as a race and more as a conversation, a long one, with pauses, with silence that finally makes sense. I used to think wisdom came from knowing more. Now I know it comes from needing less approval, less noise, less urgency to prove anything at all. At this age, you realize how little control you ever had. And strangely, that brings peace. You stop fighting time. You stop negotiating with regret. You stop pretending tomorrow is guaranteed. What remains is simple. Be kind, not because it's moral, but because it's efficient. Kindness saves energy. It heals faster than anger ever could. Forgive early, not for others, for yourself. Carrying resentment into old age is like dragging unnecessary luggage on a journey that's almost over. Say what matters while your voice is steady. Love while your hands are warm. Rest without guilt. There are things you don't need to do early in life, but there are things you must not do too late. Waiting too long to be honest. Waiting too long to forgive. Waiting too long to live the life you already know you want. In the end, the question isn't, did I achieve enough? It's much quieter than that. Did I live in a way that made sense to my own heart? If you can answer yes even softly, you've already done better than most. And if not, there's still time today. Not tomorrow. Today, I am tired now. But you still have time. Please don't waste it, waiting for permission to live.